4 o'clock on this Monday afternoon, and we start with a cyclist now recovering in the hospital from serious injuries after being hit by a driver over the weekend. The driver did stay with her and told neighbors she never saw the stop sign at 41st and Irving, just off of Federal.
Neighbors told Katie Eastman they've been worried about something like this happening for years.
At an intersection in northwest Denver, perspective matters. Look north on Irving Street, headed toward 41st. Get a little closer. There it is.
This has been an ongoing, there you go.
Pauline Bargell hadn't finished spelling her name.
B-A-R-G-E-L-L, there you go.
Before it happened again.
He just stopped because he saw me.
This time, there was no one else in the intersection. But Saturday morning was different.
It's usually this way that rolls through, right?
Whitney Kennedy is a doctor. This weekend was the first time she's treated someone at her front door.
It's not easy to see such a vibrant, healthy woman break every limb in front of you. And
Dana Fells was biking east on 41st, a newly designated bikeway. The driver was headed north on Irving. She didn't stop.
I feel horrible for everyone involved because the driver didn't see the stop sign either.
Dana was biking to her job at Stretch Lab.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Her coworker Emily Kennel said it wasn't like her to be late. Now they know why.
So she's in pretty serious condition. She has 5 leg fractures bilaterally and 1 in the femur. She has pelvic fractures.
Emily says Dana is still intubated at Denver Health and will be undergoing more surgeries. Their team is raising money for her recovery.
I know me and everyone else here, it feels lucky that she's alive, but I'm sure she feels anything but lucky.
But it's going to be a very, very, very long recovery, and it's senseless, and it doesn't need to happen.
It's what others can't see, that the neighbors see too much of. A perspective they've had for years.
Neighbors have trimmed the branches back, and they plan on doing that again, but they say people still roll through. They want signs ahead of the 4-way stop telling people it's coming, maybe even flags to the stop signs themselves. Denver police did cite this driver for careless driving, resulting in injury.
Of course, reducing traffic deaths was a concern of the now previous Denver mayor, Michael Hancock. Today, though, we have a new mayor, Michael Johnston, sworn in officially today. We did ask him if he planned to focus on Hancock's Vision Zero plan now that he's in office.
So this is one of the things we've had our transition committees take a look at, and we've had a lot of experts who help build Vision Zero who also think that there are ways we can improve it. And so they're submitting a transition memo to me today, I think, with their plans for what they think we can do differently or better. I've committed to read all of those transition memos as a plan for us to build the agenda for our departments going forward and to help inform the leaders we'll look forward to lead on these departments with those values.
We're going to be hearing much more from Mayor Johnston coming up on 9 News at 5, as well as on Next with Kyle Clark. Take a look outside in Denver, where if you got outside, you know it already. A very hot day today on this Monday, and you can see a lot of blue sky hovering over Coors Field and the downtown skyline.
Yeah, it is hot, and I mean, a lot of people complain here, but Kathy, there are so many parts of the United States right now that are really suffering. So it's I'm trying to be less complaining about it.
As you always are, always a glass half full kind of girl.
Yeah, right. Well,
yeah,
I know it's hot though. It's still hard on everybody.
Yeah, and I try to give people perspective when they say, you know, it's too much, because this time last year we had maybe 24, 25 days in the 90s, and we're only at, I think, day 5 so far for the season, but it's pretty extreme today. 99 so far downtown, 95 at the airport. The record today is 102. But Kim, you mentioned the heat advisories. There are a lot of people in the Southwest and Southern Plains states that have had excessive heat warnings for weeks. Colorado actually getting in on some of the heat advisory criteria today for the very first time. So the cloud cover off to the west offering little relief from the heat and certainly no rain. These are your current temperatures. We've now bumped up to 96 at DIA, 100 in Lamar, 102 in Pueblo, currently 106 degrees in Grand Junction, 95 in Greeley. And so what you're seeing here, and you know, Kim touched on this as well, a lot of people have been suffering. These are excessive heat warnings and advisories that cover Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, back into Southern California and the desert Southwest. Today, Colorado has a heat advisory. The Denver metro area under a heat advisory, and that means any length of time you spend outdoors can create a heat illness. So you really have to be mindful of finding shade, staying cool, drinking your water. If you're feeling dizzy or lightheaded or any of these symptoms, you need to go in and get some relief immediately, because conditions like this can be quite dangerous. And the heat advisories do extend south as well. Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and down to Walsenburg. It's so dry. Before you know it, we'll be talking about high fire danger again. Winds remain light out of the east, and there is the possibility of 1 or 2 high-base gusty thunderstorms, and we're seeing that in northern Colorado. But these storms have high cloud bases from the ground, and that means we're not going to get the rain that we need. We're seeing lightning and wind, which is something we really don't want to see. Severe weather, not really a problem for us today or tomorrow. Travel looks pretty good out there for us this afternoon, and so we'll look at those temperatures to stay very warm until sunset. Then we'll see some relief. And coming up in Maine weather, I'll talk about when we will see relief in the form of cooler weather, but also thunderstorms. And there's one day we're watching for the potential for severe weather, you guys.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Officials responded to a crash on Colorado Boulevard this morning where one car hit a building. Denver Fire told us they got a call about a 2-car crash about 11:15 this morning. One of those cars hit a building. One person was hurt but refused treatment on the scene. Building engineers were required to see if that building needed to be stabilized.
Many Coloradans are starting to get emails alerting them that some of their personal information was leaked during a data breach at HCA Healthcare earlier this month. HCA owns Rose, Swedish, and Skyridge medical centers, as well as other hospitals and clinics in the state. The company told us today it's still unclear how many people in the state have been impacted, though they believe data for 11 million patients nationwide was stolen and posted on the dark web. That data includes names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and information about past and upcoming appointments. The company insists that no payment information, health information, or other sensitive info was stolen. But cybersecurity experts tell us just because the data stolen doesn't include sensitive stuff, it can still be damaging. The head of data breach resolution for the credit reporting firm Experian told us today that thieves can use the data to do something that he calls synthetic identity theft.
It might be my social security number, it might be your name and address, which are both valid, but it does not represent a real human being. And if the fraud protection services for the company that's accepting that information aren't up to snuff, you can actually have someone steal part of your identity using it with someone else's valid social and get the provision of services. That's why it's so dangerous.
HCA says it will pay for credit monitoring for anyone impacted by this, and Experian suggests freezing your credit report if you can. Cybersecurity experts say in the meantime, if your data was stolen, you want to be extra careful about not clicking on any links in strange emails or answering odd phone calls. Steve Steger is going to have much more on this coming up on 9 News at 5. Well, here we sit less than 2 months away from the start of both the NFL and college football seasons. Colorado, of course, with 2 high-profile quarterbacks, but they met up at Folsom Field. This video posted by the website The Pregame Show. CU quarterback Shedeur Sanders, the son of Coach Dion, watching Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson getting some throwing reps in Boulder. Russ and Coach Prime also spotted chatting, both facing very high expectations for the upcoming season.
That would have been cool to see.
That would have been good to be there.
Tom, did you know 146,000 people saw Taylor Swift's 2 shows this past weekend at Empire Field? If you drove anywhere in Denver, you knew that.
Well, there were 146,000 there. There were nearly as many at Coors Field this weekend to see the Rockies take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. A little over 145,000 people attended those 3 games.